Hey guys, in this video, we're going to add profiles to our social network application. Profiles will hold some more information about the user and it will be linked to a user account. We will use Django Signals to automatically create a profile once the user signs up. And we'll give the user an option to edit their profile once they're logged in. So let's get started with this by updating our models.py for these new user profiles. So right here, I have it open already, and we need to add another model to the bottom of this. So first, I'll go ahead and create a class, and I'll call this class, we'll call it user profile. This will inherit from models.model. And we need to give it a couple fields here. First, we want to give it a user field so we can link it to a user. We can use this by doing a foreign key with a one-to-one relationship. So I can type user equals models.one-to-one key or field. And I can pass in user, which you already imported up here at the top, just our user model. We give it a primary key equals true. Verbose name equals user. Related name equals profile. And then we'll give it a on delete of models.cascade. So we'll go ahead and just type on delete equals models.cascade. And so what we're doing here is we're creating a foreign key relationship between the user profile model and our user model. And what this is saying here, this one-to-one field, is that one user can have one profile and one profile can have one user. So we don't have multiple users to a profile or profiles to a user, just one for each. And passing our user, we set it as the primary key, and then we set up a verbose name, just another name for this, which is in this case user, and then we can use to access it by related name. So on the other end, this user profile will be stored on the user object with the name of profile, so we can access it using that name later as well. And then finally, we have this on delete, where if we delete the user, we'll delete the profile, so we don't have those extra models just lying around our database. We don't need them anymore. Now with that one added, we need to go ahead and add some more details that we want to hold for this profile. So we want to give like a name, a bio, a birthday, a location, and then a profile picture. And so most of these are pretty self-explanatory. And we'll start with just the name, which would be name equals models.char field. And we'll pass in a max length equaling to 30. And blank equals true. And then null equals true. So with blank equals true means it can be stored with nothing. It can be left blank when the user fills out the profile form. They don't need, it's not required, I guess. And then null just means it's allowed to be empty in the database. And so when we first create a profile, all this stuff is going to be blank and empty. And so we want to set every field to blank equals true and null equals true so we don't get any errors. Next, we have our bio. So do bio equals models dot text field. And this will be a max length of, let's say, I guess 500 will work. And then we'll do blank equals true, null equals true. Next we'll have birthday, which equals models dot date field. So we can just have a date picker. And this will be null equals true and blank equals true as well. And then next we'll have our location, which will just be a character field again. So location equals models dot char field, max length equaling 100, and then blank equals true, null equals true. Next we'll have a picture. This will be equal to our models dot image field. And then now in this, we need to give it a place to upload, and we want to give it a default image as well. So first, when it comes to where we're going to upload it to, so we're going to create a directory in our media location once we get all that set up later. So for now, let's go ahead and just put the location in here, and it should hopefully make more sense once we have everything set up. So we'll do upload _2, which will equal a string of uploads slash profile underscore pictures. And this will be the location that we have to store images once we get everything set up later. And finally, you want to give it a default. And so in our project folder here, I have this image over here, this default image, and this is what I'm going to use for the default image. If a user doesn't give them or doesn't upload an image, this image will be used instead. So for now, I'm going to drag this image into here, and I'll put it into the correct folder once we get that set up. All the code will be in the description below, so you can get this image there, or you can just Google a default profile image, and you'll see plenty on the internet you can grab and throw into your project. So with that image in here, I'm going to go ahead and create the directory where it's going to be, but right now it's clearly not there. But we'll fix that once we get our media location set up in a second. So for now, what the path for this default image will be is default equals, and it'll be uploads slash profile underscore pictures slash, and it's called default.png, so we'll put that right there. And then finally, you can give it a blank equals true. And we don't need null because it'll get default every time, so it will never be empty in the database. It'll always have this default image if they don't upload one themselves. Yeah, so that should be it for our models. Okay, so now we have our user profile set up. Let's go ahead and add this to the admin.py file so we can access it in the admin panel later on. So if I go to my admin.py, you'll see we added post. Let's go ahead and add user profile as well. If you want, you can add the comment as well, but right now I'm not going to worry with that because I don't need to use it there right now. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll save this. Now with that change, we need to go ahead and migrate these changes to the database. So I'll open my terminal. That's for this project I have open already. I already have my virtual environment activated, so I'm all set to go. I can type Python 3 manage.py migrate or make migrations. I should create my... Oh, there's one thing I forgot to do. For this image field here, what we need to do, we need to install something called Pillow. So we can open that terminal back up, and I can just type here and do pip install Pillow. And now it should be able to make migrations. It creates a user profile, and now I can go ahead and migrate those changes to the database. And we should be set to go there. Okay, so now with that done, let's go ahead and go to our settings.py file so we can make some changes there to set up our media directory. So we'll come down here to social network, go into settings.py, and then we'll scroll down here to the bottom. And I'll go ahead and put it right here below the static URL. I'm gonna go ahead and put two different variables here, media underscore root equals, this will be the base directory. We can add on to that string of media. And so what this is doing is it'll go to the base directory of our project, which is right here. And inside of here, we're gonna go ahead and put a folder just inside of here called media. And that will hold all of our media files. And now below this, I'm gonna go ahead and tell it what our media URL is. So we'll do media URL equals, in quotes, slash media slash. Now we go ahead and make a directory that matches this path here. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this. And so to do this, up here, right click here and do new folder and just call it media. Now this is where our uploads and everything will be inside this folder here. And so inside of this media folder, I can create a new folder, call it uploads. And then inside of this uploads folder, I can go ahead and make a new folder and call it profile pictures. And now if I jump back into my project here, right here, and I can go ahead now and take this default PNG file. I can make it match this directory path right here, this path right here. So I can go ahead and let's go ahead and just grab this, pull it into media, and that grab it and pull into uploads. We can grab this and pull it into profile pictures. So now it should match media and then slash upload slash profile pictures slash default PNG. We don't need to put media here because we already set that up in our settings, and so it automatically goes to media first, and all this is whatever's after the media directory in the path. So that should be set up there. Now all of our images should go in the same folder right next to this default file. So you should see them all coming in right in here. Okay, perfect. Now with that done, we need to go ahead and finish setting up the media directory by adding it to our URLs. So Django knows where to access it from. So we jump into our root URLs. So you want to go down to our social network, into our urls.py there. And at the bottom of this, we're going to go ahead and write a line here that says if settings.debug. So in our settings.py, if this right here is set to debug, which is the case right now it is, it will run this. And so in production, you're going to need to set this up differently depending on what web server you use. But for our development server, when we're actually just going into our terminal and doing run server command with manage.py file, we can just do it this way and just make this set to true and add this line here to our settings or to our urls.py, and it will serve all of our media files for us. So what we need to put inside here is just URL patterns plus equals static, and then in parentheses settings dot media URL document underscore root equals settings dot media root. And now we need to go ahead and import some things up here at the top. So we'll go ahead and do from django.conf import settings, and from django.conf.urls.static import static. That's just import the settings right here, and to import the static function right here. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and save that. So now with that done, we should be good with all our media stuff, and it should all be set up. And now let's go ahead and build what we need so we can actually view our profile. So first, we'll go ahead and create just a profile view. So I'll jump into my views.py, and I'll scroll down here to the bottom. Actually, first up to the top, I need to import my new model. So from .models, we'll import user profile, which should be what it is. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, user profile. So it should be good. And now let's come down here and let's create another view. So I'll go ahead and create another class, and this class we'll call it profile view, and it will inherit from our generic view class like we've been using. And so we need to put a method on for each HTTP method. And so I can type def get to handle any get method or get request methods, which is what we'll need here for when we view the profile. And so now inside of here, I can pass itself request pk, and then star args and star args. And I'm passing in pk here because we're going to put the primary key into our URL so that we can differentiate between one user's profile and another user's profile. This is going to be a public view, and so we want to make sure the actual profile URL is unique to each user. Okay, now with that done, we need to do a couple things here. First, we need to get the profile. Then we need to get the user and all their posts. And we'll pass all this to the context and run the template. We want to show the username on the profile as well, and so we want to get that, which is why we need to get the user off of the profile. And obviously we need to show all the profile information on the template as well as all their posts. We're going to list them all out below that. So we need to get all that information for the template. So first I'll type profile equals user profile dot objects dot get, pass a pk equals pk. So in case you're not sure what this does, all we're doing here is we're going to our user profile model and we're getting whatever matches this filter right here. So in this case, if the primary key matches what we passed in here, we'll grab that profile object and save it in this variable called profile. Next, we need to get the user. So this will be user equals, and this will just be profile.user because on our profile, we save the user. Look at our models.py. We have the user saved right here in this variable called user. So we can just have this equal to profile.user. Finally, we want to go to post. So post equals, this will be post.objects.filter author equals user, and then dot order underscore by, and the quotes here, minus created on. And so what we're doing here is we're going to our post object and we're filtering it. So we're getting more than one. With the get, we just get one, but with filter, we get more than one. We'll set the author equal to the user. And so let's look at our models real quick. If you look at our posts here, we have this author field, which is just a foreign key for this user. And then down here, we have a user on our profile. So we're seeing if this user what's being saved here in this user field matches this user field up here. If they do, then we know, they are the same user, and the post should show up on this profile. Okay, now we have that done. Let's go ahead and create our context and pass all this into it. So create context equals, this will be user, user, profile, and then finally posts, and posts. Now that we have all that done here, let's go ahead and render the template. So we'll do return render, pass a request, pass in social/profile.html, and pass in context. Let's go ahead and save that. Okay, and now that done, let's go ahead and create this profile.html right here. So in my templates, go ahead and create a new file. We'll save this as profile.html. And let's go ahead and copy something to start with. We'll just grab this post list to start. Go ahead here and just copy all this. Oops. Copy that, and we'll paste that here. There we go. This one does not need to have a form, so we can get rid of this crispy forms tags. We can get rid of our form here, this entire form right here. And now we can go ahead and start building this profile. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take this justify content away from this. And this is going to be our back button. So this will be our back to feed button to take us back to the social feed. So I'm going to go ahead and just change this margin here to top, or to 5, margin top to 5. Our colon MD we'll set to 3. So colon MD3, colon SM12. Actually, we'll set this here to 6. And then we'll get rid of this border as well. And now inside of this column here, we're going to go ahead and just put a tag, anchor tag. href will equal quotes, and it will equal 2 curly braces, 2 percent signs, URL, and our URL name, which is just post-list. And we'll go ahead and put a class on this, and this will equal btn-light, and we'll type in back to feed. Now below that, we want to go ahead and show some profile information. So we'll do in the second row right here, we'll do row, justify content center, margin top. Let's do -5. Grab this bottom margin and just do margin top -5. And now this column here, you want it to be a card. That'll just give it a border, it'll give it like a shadow and make it look a little better. So we'll make this right here card, and we'll add that shadow as well. So shadow-sm. And let's also go ahead and first we'll change this MD-5 to MD-8, and then we'll do some padding. So we'll do a padding X, which is left and right padding, -5, and padding top, -3. And now inside of here, first let's go ahead and show the image, the profile image. So we'll make an image tag. The source will equal, and we'll do 2 curly braces to put a variable in here. This would be profile.picture.url. Now get the URL of whatever profile picture is saved on this profile object. Let's give it a class equaling to rounded dash circle, a width of 100, and a height equal to 100 as well. We'll go ahead and just do a slash here to not have to have the self-closing tag. And then below here, we can start showing some profile information. So we'll go ahead and we'll do, we'll go ahead and put 2 curly braces, 2% signs. Now, if there's a profile name on this object here, you want to show that first. So we'll do if profile dot name, and then we'll do an h3, a class equaling to padding y dash 4 to give some top and bottom padding. And we'll pass in 2 curly braces to pass in the profile dot name. And we'll close off the if tag right here. So we'll do end if. And now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the location, birthday, and bio. So we're going to just copy this down. So we'll have one for the location, one for the birthday, and one for the bio. All right, so we'll change this first one here to location. This next one down here to location. We'll change this one right here to birth underscore date. And this one as well to birth underscore date. And then finally down here, we'll change this one here to bio, and this to bio as well. Okay, perfect. Now with that done, let's go ahead now and list out all of our posts. So right here, we have all of our column and row being closed out here. And down here, we have something similar set up already. So we already have a for loop with a row and column that's looping through like we did on our post feed. This will be very similar. We do want to make a couple changes here. First, I'm going to go ahead and change this margin top to margin top dash 5 to get a little more spacing from our profile information. I'm going to change this here, this MD5 to MD8. And that should really be it for the actual HTML. We got to change our template, our Django template syntax though. So post list doesn't exist in this template. We call it posts. So back in our views here, our posts are passing a variable called posts. And so we need to use that here instead. Well, that should be it. With that done, let's go ahead and go to our urls.py and add a URL for this view to show this template. So in our urls.py, first we'll go and import this this view. So we'll do profile view, I think I called it. So double check that real quick. Yeah, profile view. And then down here, I'm gonna go ahead and copy a path to get a starting point of it. And I'm gonna change this from post to profile. So we'll do profile / and then we'll pass in the primary key. So int colon and then pk. And then this view here will be changed to profile view. And the name will be just profile. Save that. Now let's go ahead and put this link to this URL in our nav bar so we can access it easily. So back inside of our landing app, down in our templates here, landing, and navbar HTML, we should have a link here already for profile right here. So let's go ahead and change this URL to match this new profile URL. So it'll be 2 curly braces, 2% signs, URL, and it'll pass the name of profile. And then we need to pass in the primary key though. And so in this case, we want to get the primary key for this one at least, which is for the nav bar must be for the users who's logged in currently. So it goes to their actual profile. And so in this case, we want to go to the profile we want to go to the user's profile that's logged in, because in the nav bar this only shows up if the user is logged in. And so this link should go to the current logged in user's profile. And we can get that by doing user.profile.pk. And now with that done, let's go ahead, run our server. And it looks like we have a couple errors here. So I was using the new version of Django. In this project, we're still using the old version. And so base dir is set with os.path.dir name. In the newer versions, you'll see like something up here imported as path or whatever, and that will make it look like this. But since we're using the old version, I need to change this here to os.path.join, pass in base dir, comma, media. Save that. Now let's go look at our server again. And let's go and try running this one more time. There we go. And now we can go ahead and log in. It says reverse your profile with arguments not found. So it looks like our issue here is that it is trying to get this profile ID, but this user does not have a profile currently. So let's go ahead, jump back into our browser here, and then we'll go into, so right here it says user profile. So let's click on here. Let's add a user profile. So we'll use admin for this one. We'll leave all this blank for now, and we'll just save it. So now this user has a profile. Now let's go ahead and go back to our site and try this again. Okay, I just stopped the server, ran it, and it looked like it works. So it must have just been caught up on something. Okay, so looks like it's working good. We clearly don't have any information here, so this is not going to show up anything. With that working, now we need to go ahead and add some more information to the profile, so it's not just empty and blank. So let's go ahead and log into our admin, go into our user profiles, and let's go ahead and just add a name of admin. Bio, we'll leave bio blank, and we'll put today as the birthday, and location will just be USA. And we'll leave the default profile image for now. Save that. Let's go back to the site, back to the profile, and now we see some more information here. Let's go ahead and actually make some changes here though. I don't want all this to be an H3 heading, so I'm gonna go ahead and change that real quick. So jump back into our profile HTML. We only want the name to be H3. The rest should be, and oh, I forgot to close these tags out as well. The rest of these should be just P tags. So I'll do a P tag there. We'll close this off. Come down here and do a P tag here. Down here, we'll do another P tag as well. Let's save that. Now let's come back into our browser here, reload the page. That looks a little better, but there's too much padding. Oh, let's get rid of these padding -y on all these. Don't need any of this. And that should be good. After that, let's come reload this page one more time. Okay, perfect. And if you have a bio, it'll be down here at the very bottom. So it's all working pretty well. And you can see here, all of our posts are lined up right here as well. We can click on them. It can take us to our post detail page where we can edit them if we're the user that made this and everything else. So this is all working pretty good. Next, we want to go ahead and automatically create a profile once we sign up a user. So we don't want to have to go back into the actual admin page every time when we create a user to create a profile. That would not be very user friendly, and it would just be a pain for whoever's running the website. And so we can do this with Django Signals. We can set up a signal where it's called post save, where after the user is saved in the database, it will run this code inside a function. And in that case, all we'll do is create a profile, add to the user, and save it. And so we can add all this into our models.py. You could add this in a separate file, but for this case, as it's so simple, I'm just going to put it within our models.py file. And so to use signals, first we need to go ahead and import the signal we want to use, as well as import the receiver. So what we'll have here in our signals, I'll type it here at the bottom just to hopefully help explain this a little bit. We'll have a receiver, we'll have a sender first. In this case, the sender will be the user. Then we'll have a receiver, which will receive the signal, which will be our decorator, which we'll create here in a second. Just in case you're not familiar with what decorators are, they have just an at, and there's something else after that. In this case, it'll be receiver. And this, all a decorator does is it adds functionality to whatever function is below it. And then we'll also, below that, we'll have a instance, which will be the user object being saved. And then below that, we'll have a created. This will be true or false. And so we'll say if the user is created, do whatever. That's all we need to use signals. Just send a receiver instance and create it. And so hopefully that makes sense. If not, it's easier to explain once everything's all typed out and you can kind of see how the function works. But first, let's go ahead here at the top. Let's import everything. So we'll go ahead and import from Django.db.models.signal import post save. And so this post save signal will run every time the sender is saved in the database. Now below that, we'll import from Django.dispatch import receiver. This will be our decorator that will receive the signal from the post save sender. Now here at the bottom, we can go ahead and create a function for each of these. So we'll do def create user profile, and then we'll pass for now. And we also need to create another function called def save user profile. So these both work how they sound. The first one creates the user profile, the second one saves it. Now both of these need the decorator or the receiver decorator on them. So right above the function, the line right above it, you can put at receiver, and then pass in post underscore save, which is the receiver you want to use, or the sender we're going to use here. And then we can pass in what the sender is. Then we can pass in post save, which is the signal we want to use here. And then we can pass in the sender. So we can do sender equals, in this case, we want to be user. So once the user is saved in the database, we want to go ahead and do whatever's in this function. And this function takes in some parameters. So we'll pass in sender instance created and ** quarks. So this is pretty simple. We'll do if created. So if this user object was created in the database, then we want to user profile dot objects dot create user equals instance. So what we're doing here is we're creating a user profile, which is user profile dot objects dot create creates an object, but it does not save it. It just creates it. And then we want to set on that profile object, we want to set the user to be the instance, which in this case, the instance is this user sender that was just created in the database. Next, we need to go ahead and work on saving it into the database, which we have a separate function here to do. So once again, we want to add the receiver decorator because you want this to run once it's saved as well. So we post underscore save, comma, sender equals user, just like before. And now this also takes in some parameters, takes in a sender, an instance, and ** quarks. So once again, the sender is the user object. The instance is the actual user object, or sorry, the sender is the user model, and the instance is the actual user object that was just saved. So we can do instance dot profile dot save. So we're taking this instance, which in this case will be user, this user object, taking the profile and saving that into the database. And that's all we'll need to do. With that set up, we should all now automatically have profiles created once we create a user using the registration form. Hopefully all that made sense. If not, there's plenty of real quick videos on YouTube you can watch of going through the basics of signals to kind of get that down a little more. But it's pretty simple. You have a sender, the receiver, the instance. There's kind of the main three pieces, the sender being the object or the model that you're using to send the signal, the instance being the actual model that's saved in the database, and the receiver being this decorator that holds some sort of signal to tell it what to do once it receives the signal. Okay, now with all that done, let's go ahead and test this out and see if we get a profile created when we sign a user up. So let's jump into our Firefox browser here. Let's go ahead and sign out. Looks like we got an error. Oh, I put signal and not signals. It should be plural. So let's jump back here. Right here. This should be plural. So signals. Let's check that again. Receiver is not defined because I spelled it wrong. Oops, let's go and fix that real quick. So yeah, I spelled receiver wrong down here. So we'll change that, and we'll change this like that as well. And that should fix that. Okay, there we go. Now this typo is fixed. Let's jump back into our browser and actually now try to first sign out. We'll make a new user. There we go. Now let's jump into our admin panel. So just log in with that real quick. And now look inside of our user profiles. We now have a second one created here, and it's connected to that test5 user. So this worked perfectly. So now we have a user profile set up for this user without having to do anything. If we were to go back to the site and go to profile, let's sign out real quick. So we'll sign out of here. Now let's log back in to that test5 account. And we'll go to the profile up here. And this is the user profile. There's nothing really here because they haven't created a post yet. But let's go and add something else to this template. So now there's really nothing here, and we want to give them an option to add more details since it's kind of just plain, doesn't look really great. So let's go and add a way to edit their profile. We'll add a little button here so the user can click on it and edit their profile, add more information. So let's jump back into our Sublime text editor here, and let's jump into our views.py. So we'll start here by creating a profile edit view. And for this, we're going to use our update view, which we already imported up here for other views. Whereas an example of that would be like right here. So we got to pass in a model, field, and template name, give it access URL, and make sure the user matches the user on the actual profile. So down here at the bottom, go ahead and do class profile edit view. We'll pass in login required mixin, user passes test mixin, and update view. And then we'll go ahead and give it a model, which will equal user profile. And then we'll go ahead and give it some fields of what should be editable in our actual form, which will be the name, the bio, the birth date, location, and the picture. Finally, the template name equals social/profile_edit.html. And then once we successfully edit the profile, we want to reverse it back to the actual profile view. And so we can do that by doing git or def get success URL, pass in self. And we'll do pk equals self.quargs and pass in pk. Since we're getting it from the URL, we can grab it using the quargs and grabbing the pk string out of the URL. And we can return reverse_lazy to the URL profile and pass in that primary key. So quargs equals, and then in curly braces, pk::pk. And then finally, we can add our test function so we can authenticate the user, make sure the user that's logged in matches the user on this profile. So you do def test func self. So we profile equals self.get_object. Get this current object that we are working on in our generic view here. And then we can go ahead and return self.request.user equals profile.user. And so what we're doing here is we're saying if this profile, or if this user in the request is equal to the user on the profile, if it is, it'll return true, otherwise it returns false. And if it returns true, it lets them view the view. If it returns false, it does not let them get to the view at all. Okay, with that done, let's go ahead and save that. And now let's go ahead and create this profile edit template. So we'll go to our social templates here, create a new file. We'll save this as profile _edit.html, what we call it. Now we'll go ahead and create a simple form here. Let's go ahead and grab our post edit form because it'll be pretty similar to this. So we'll just copy this, go back to our profile edit and paste it in here. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to change a few things. We need to change this link here to go back to profile instead of back to post. So back to profile. And this will be a href equals, we want to change this to profile. And then once again, it's going to be object.pk. When you use a generic view and you don't specify the template object name, it defaults to object. So object.pk will get this profile primary key and pass into this URL for us. Now below this, when you update your profile, and then below that we have our form like we did before, and all this set up right here. Now this form, there does need to be one more thing added to it though. And this form tag at the top here, we are not just having text, we have actual image files that we're uploading as well. So next to this post method, we need to add enc type equals multipart / form - data. If you don't do this, the form will submit successfully, but the images will never actually be put inside our media directory. But with this, it will be able to handle file types as well. It will be able to actually save, and it will actually save the file in our media directory for us. And with that done, that should be it. So with all that stuff saved, let's go ahead and create a URL for it now. So we'll jump into our urls.py, and let's go ahead and just copy this as a starting point. And we'll go ahead and add profile / edit / the primary key. And that will be our edit URL. This will be profile edit view, which we need to import that here at the top. So profile edit view. This will be profile - edit right here. Save that. And now, once we have that done, we need to go ahead and add a link to this to our actual profile template so we can actually get to the edit page. So back in our profile.html, let's go to where we have the profile name. And actually, let's make one change here. Let's go ahead and remove this if statement here around this profile.name. And then inside of this h3 tag here, we're going to put a span tag. And then inside the span tag here, actually put this all in different lines just to make it easier to read. Inside the span tag here, we're going to go ahead and put a font awesome icon, as well as a link tag or an anchor tag to go to that profile edit, that view we just created. But we're going to add one more check here, and if we only want to show this if the user is logged in is the user that we pass into our template. So you look back at our views.py and our profile view here, we pass user into our template as a context, so we can use that in our template. So back here, or where is it? Right here. Let's go ahead and first do an if statement to check for that. So we'll do if request.user is equal to user. Then we want to do this. So first go and close out the tag, and if. So if those match, you want to go ahead and show an anchor tag. So do a href equals, and we'll pass in our Django URL syntax, URL, and in quotes, profile - edit, and pass in the profile.pk. Next, let's add a style to this so we can make it like a dark black or a dark gray, I guess, color. So we can do color 333 to make it a really dark gray. And next to this, we'll go ahead and put in our font awesome icon. So do I, the class equaling FAR, FA-edit. Just give this a little pencil and paper edit icon. And then go ahead and close off both of these tags. And that should be it. Let's go ahead and just put our span. That's fine. That's fine there. Yeah, that's fine there. We'll go ahead and save all that. And come back here, reload the page. And so right now it says none because there's no name on the object, but hit the edit button, and then it takes us to this form here where we can edit our profile. And we can pick an image by clicking browse, and it will give us a way to pick an image from our computer. So we go ahead and give it a name of admin, I guess. I'm not sure. Or I'm on test user still, I think. So we'll do test user. Hit submit. And now it got changed to test user. Now go ahead and add some location as well. Just do USA, hit submit. That comes down here below as well. So it looks like it's working pretty well. Let's go ahead and make one change though. If we leave this thing here blank, and then just says none, let's change this and make it say like the username or something. So what we can do here is we can actually add back our if profile.name, and then below this we'll add an else. We'll also go ahead and enter a tag as well so we don't forget. And inside of our else here, I'm going to go ahead and just put an H3 that just says, let's just put user.username and save that. So now, if there's nothing there, instead of saying none, it will just give the username itself. Okay, there's one issue still, it looks like, that's not working. Oh, I put this below the actual profile name. And we also want to go ahead and copy our edit button as well, so that accessible as well. So put this right there. And we'll go ahead and copy this A tag right here. Or actually this whole if statement right here. We'll copy that, and that will go into a span tag right here. So you span, close off that tag, and we'll paste all that right there. Now let's go ahead and save that. Let's fix our indents here. Let's go ahead and save that. Now let's come back to our browser, reload the page. Now it gives them the username with this edit button where we can actually add our actual name. So we can add test user, save that, and it actually shows the actual test user. Looks like we're missing some padding though. Let's see what we're doing there. Yeah, let's add back this padding though, and then we should be good. So let's copy this and paste this right there. And save that. Perfect. So now we should have a working profile with everything kind of set up and working well. And he has no post because currently not added a post, but if we went back to our feed and we added a post here, just said hello, and hit submit. And then comes up here, test 5, we go back to our profile, and they have their post right here. Click on it, we then get access to edit it, just like we have for everything else before. So this is all working very well. And this is where we're going to stop for today. Now we have our profile working. We still have much more to add with like followers and friends lists or whatever else we want to add to this, but this will be a good stopping point for today. The code will be in the description below, as well as a link to the written tutorial and everything else that's usually down there. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.